Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vault of Time. 1. The birth of a storm. He was born during a violent thunderstorm in 1856 in a small Balkan village called Smiljan. Lightning illuminated the room as his mother whispered, "He will be a child of light." From that night forward, storms would follow him. The villagers feared thunder, but young Nikola watched it with fascination. To him, lightning wasn't destruction, it was communication. His father wanted him to serve the church, yet Tesla found his faith in physics. He spent nights sketching unseen machines, dreaming of invisible forces shaping reality. No one understood the quiet boy who smiled at storms, but deep inside, he already knew. One day, he would speak the same language as the sky itself, electricity. The universe had chosen its conductor. As a child, Tesla discovered he could build entire machines in his imagination. He saw gears turning, sparks flying, metals vibrating, long before touching a single tool. This gift, called visual thinking, became both his power and his burden. While others needed paper, he needed only his mind. His mother, Juka, an ingenious woman, built devices for daily life, teaching him that invention begins at home. Tesla realized that creativity wasn't luck. It was precision of thought. He'd later say, "I can imagine every detail before I construct it." That mental cinema allowed him to see the future before it arrived. In his visions, he wasn't dreaming. He was remembering something the world had forgotten. That imagination is the first form of energy. In school, teachers called him distracted. Classmates called him strange. But Tesla wasn't lost. He was listening to patterns no one else could hear. He believed nature spoke through vibration, and that understanding it required silence. He studied water, wind, and light, noticing how everything moved in waves. Late at night, he'd stare at candle flames, imagining their frequencies. In his notebooks, he drew circles and symbols, what we now recognize as the foundations of alternating current. Every page was a prophecy. His professors laughed. Tesla simply smiled. "My ideas," he said, "come like lightning, and in an instant, the truth is revealed." The boy from Smiljan was already building the nervous system of the modern world, one spark at a time. Tesla's youth was marked by illness and obsession. After a near-fatal fever, he vowed that if he survived, he'd dedicate his life to mastering energy itself. He left his homeland carrying no wealth, only vision. Europe couldn't contain him. He needed the new world. Steamships carried dreamers across the Atlantic, but none with dreams as electric as his. He landed in New York City in 1884, exhausted, broke, yet determined. The skyline of gas lamps and telegraph wires mirrored his imagination. Somewhere among those lights waited his purpose. Tesla didn't see America as opportunity. He saw it as a laboratory. He whispered to himself, "One day, the whole earth will hum with power." And with that, the storm inside him began to move west. Soon after arriving, Tesla met Thomas Edison, the Wizard of Menlo Park. Two minds, one obsession, electricity. Edison worked by trial and error, Tesla by calculation and vision. They respected each other until they didn't. When Tesla proposed a more efficient alternating current system, Edison dismissed it as dangerous nonsense. The two men clashed like thunder and lightning. Yet Tesla, the outsider, remained calm. He knew his system could carry power farther, cleaner, cheaper. "Someday," he told his coworkers, "they will understand." In that lab filled with glowing filaments, the first spark of rivalry ignited a revolution. The world would soon be divided between two currents, and only one would light the future. Edison promoted direct current, DC, safe, controllable, but limited. Tesla's alternating current, AC, was more powerful, efficient, and infinite in reach. What began as a scientific debate turned into a media war. Edison's companies electrocuted animals to prove AC's danger. Newspapers called Tesla a mad scientist. But when the World's Fair of 1893 illuminated Chicago entirely with AC power, the world gasped in wonder. For the first time, night became day for millions. Tesla had won, not for profit, but for progress. The victory wasn't over Edison, it was over darkness itself. Humanity had harnessed the storm. With fame came freedom. Tesla built laboratories where he commanded lightning like a conductor before an orchestra. Visitors watched in disbelief as bolts of electricity danced around him. He stood unharmed, glowing with blue light, as if the universe recognized one of its own. "I am not afraid," he said, "for I know their laws." To Tesla, every spark was a note in a grand cosmic symphony. He had become both scientist and artist, painting with plasma, composing with current. What others saw as spectacle, he saw as structure, the geometry of the invisible. The man who once studied candlelight was now holding the sun in his hands. In 1899, Tesla moved to Colorado Springs to build his greatest experiment, a giant coil capable of sending electricity wirelessly through the air. At night, blue lightning filled the sky for miles. Townspeople thought he was summoning storms. He was testing resonance, how the Earth itself could carry power. "The planet," he wrote, "is a conductor of electrical vibrations." He believed we could transmit energy freely across the globe. And for a brief moment, he proved it, lighting bulbs wirelessly more than 20 meters away. Standing beneath those artificial stars, Tesla smiled. He wasn't creating light, he was awakening it. One experiment shook his laboratory so violently that neighbors thought an earthquake struck. Tesla's mechanical oscillator had found the building's resonant frequency. He shut it down just as police arrived. Later, he joked, "I could split the Earth in two, if I wished." But beneath the humor was truth. He had discovered how vibration could magnify energy beyond imagination. To Tesla, resonance wasn't danger, it was communication. Everything vibrates, everything connects. He realized that harmony, not force, ruled the universe. Long before quantum physics, he sensed the same principle scientists chase today. Energy responds to frequency, and frequency is life. With J.P. Morgan's investment, Tesla began constructing the Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, a colossal transmitter meant to send both power and information across the world. He envisioned free global energy, shared through the air. But when Morgan realized free meant no profit, funding vanished. Construction halted. The tower stood half-finished, silent, a monument to what could have been. Tesla walked its grounds alone, hand on the steel, whispering to his dream, "One day, you will sing again." The dream of global wireless power died, at least for now, but the blueprint of the future was already written in the dust beneath his feet. By 1900, Tesla was famous, then forgotten. Investors withdrew, newspapers mocked him, and laboratories burned down. Yet his mind refused to dim. "My brain," he wrote, "is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge." While others measured success by money, Tesla measured it by illumination. He lived for discovery, not applause. Every night he wandered New York streets, whispering formulas to himself. The same man who lit cities now walked under lamps powered by his own invention, unknown to passers-by. But he didn't despair. He knew true invention required solitude. History had turned away. Tesla kept facing the light. Great ideas, he believed, are born not from comfort, but from silence. As the years passed, Tesla's companions became fewer and quieter. He lived in hotels, surrounded by notebooks and blueprints. Each morning he fed the pigeons in Bryant Park. One, a white pigeon with gray-tipped wings, visited him every day. "I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman," he confessed. When she died, a light left his life. People laughed at the eccentric inventor, unaware that compassion was his last remaining current. The man who dreamed of illuminating the planet now sought warmth in a bird's heartbeat. Genius and loneliness, two sides of the same spark. Tesla wasn't broken. He had simply transcended the noise of humanity, choosing instead to listen to the quiet hum of existence. Long before the smartphone, Tesla imagined it. In 1901, he described devices that could fit in a pocket, sending messages across the world instantly. He foresaw wireless communication, drones, renewable energy, even the internet's nervous system. To him, these weren't predictions. They were inevitabilities. "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena," he said, "it will make more progress in one decade than in all previous centuries." Today, every satellite, every signal, every Wi-Fi connection is an echo of his vision. The future we call innovation was, to Tesla, simply remembering what nature had already designed. He didn't chase technology. He followed intuition, and it led him home. After his death, government agents entered his hotel room and confiscated trunks of documents, hundreds of designs, formulas, and mysterious diagrams. Some spoke of death rays, wireless weapons, and limitless power. Most vanished into classified archives. Others resurfaced decades later, shaping radar, radio, and modern defense systems. The legend of the missing Tesla papers blurred the line between genius and conspiracy. Did he truly create technologies beyond his time? Or did the world simply catch up too late? What's certain is this: his ideas never died. They went underground, waiting like dormant currents beneath the earth, until humanity was ready to understand them. Tesla's greatest dream was a world powered without cables, batteries, or limits. He imagined giant towers sending energy freely through the air, every home glowing from the Earth's resonance. "If we can send sound through the air," he said, "why not power?" Today, wireless charging, global communication networks, and even space-based solar systems mirror his vision. He wasn't inventing gadgets. He was designing civilization. But in 1905, the world wasn't ready for free energy. Industry demanded profit, not progress. The dream of limitless power was buried under economics, but like all great ideas, it never stopped humming beneath the surface. Tesla never married, never owned a house, and barely slept. He worked from midnight to dawn, chasing equations through the dark. Machines became his companions, lightening his language. When he closed his eyes, he saw fields of energy dancing between stars. "The desire that guides me," he said, "is the desire to harness the forces of nature for the service of mankind." In his solitude, he blurred the line between human and machine. Not because he lacked emotion, but because he felt too much. His heart beat like a motor. His thoughts pulsed like alternating current. Tesla wasn't building technology, he was becoming it. To Tesla, light was divine geometry, matter vibrating at its highest form. All things, he wrote, are forms of light. His experiments with X-rays and plasma weren't just physics, they were acts of worship. Every coil he built was a prayer written in electricity. He believed understanding light was understanding God itself. When his lab glowed blue, he'd whisper, "Now I can see thought made visible." The scientist had become a mystic. His equations read like poetry, his machines like cathedrals. In a century obsessed with power, Tesla searched for purity. For him, enlightenment wasn't metaphor. It was literal illumination. Tesla believed that every atom vibrates in harmony with the universe. If you want to understand the universe, he said, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Long before quantum mechanics, he sensed the invisible web connecting all matter. To him, thought itself was frequency, capable of shaping reality. When he meditated beside his humming coils, he claimed he could feel the pulse of distant stars. Science later called this resonance. Tesla simply called it unity. He proved that even in isolation, a single mind could tune into the heartbeat of the cosmos and broadcast it back as light. When Einstein introduced relativity, the world bowed in awe. Tesla did not. Space cannot be curved, he said, for it has no properties. To him, gravity was not geometry but vibration, energy seeking equilibrium. The scientific community dismissed him as outdated, yet he stood firm. He believed the universe was not random chaos, but elegant order waiting to be decoded through frequency. While Einstein bent space, Tesla sought to straighten understanding. His defiance wasn't arrogance, it was intuition. And though history crowned Einstein the genius of time, Tesla became something rarer, the philosopher of energy. By the 1930s, Tesla lived in the New Yorker Hotel, room 3327, surrounded by unpaid bills and fading fame. Newspapers called him the mad scientist. He no longer cared. Each morning he fed pigeons. Each night he wrote letters no one read. Yet outside, entire cities ran on his inventions. The hum of every generator was his unspoken tribute. He'd once declared, "The future is mine." He was right, but the future didn't know it yet. While the world celebrated modernity, its brightest light flickered alone behind a hotel door. Genius had become a ghost, haunting the very world he created. In his final years, Tesla spoke mysteriously of a new kind of energy, a power that will change humanity forever. No one ever saw the device. Some say it was a myth. Others believe it worked. He called it the dynamic theory of gravity, a system that unified all cosmic forces. Alone in his room, he scribbled formulas through the night, muttering to himself as lightning flashed beyond the city skyline. "Everything is energy," he whispered, "and if we can understand it, we can command it." Whether the machine existed or not, the idea still vibrates through time, that somewhere in the hum of existence lies an undiscovered frequency waiting for us to tune in. On January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla died alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. He was 86. The maid found him lifeless, surrounded by papers, feathers, and silence. Outside, the city glowed with light from systems he had created. He had given the world illumination, yet died in darkness. No family, no fortune, only a legacy too vast to measure. The government seized his notes, journalists wrote obituaries that missed the point. But the true story was invisible. Tesla had already become energy itself. His body ended. His current continued. The storm he carried since birth had finally returned to the sky. Within hours of his death, FBI agents entered his room and took trunks of documents labeled top secret. Rumors spread. Had Tesla built a death ray? Had he discovered limitless power? Most of his notes disappeared into archives, locked away for decades. Some resurfaced later. Theories of wireless energy, directed beams, and particle weapons. Historians still argue what was real. Yet one truth stands. Governments feared his mind even after death. Tesla had crossed the boundary between science and myth. He'd become the man whose thoughts were too powerful to be buried. His greatest experiment was never a machine. It was mystery itself. Years passed. Then came revival. Scientists re-examined his patents. Artists painted his portraits. Engineers worshipped his blueprints. The world that once ignored him began to whisper his name again. Tesla. His inventions returned like ghosts made of light, coils, motors, transformers. What once seemed madness now powered modernity. He became a symbol of vision against greed, imagination against limitation. Universities taught his theories. Musicians wrote symphonies in his honor. The forgotten inventor had become immortal. He didn't need statues. He lived inside every circuit. The current he started had finally found its way home. Look around. Our world hums with Tesla's fingerprints. Electric cars, wireless power, renewable grids, satellite communication, all echoes of his blueprints. Every glowing screen, every whirring motor is a quiet tribute. The age of connection he dreamed of has arrived. Humanity is finally living inside his imagination, but the question remains, have we honored his dream of free energy or just monetized it? Progress fulfilled his prophecy, but not his purpose. Tesla didn't just want technology, he wanted harmony. He hoped machines would unite humanity, not divide it. Perhaps our next invention must rediscover his true design, compassion through energy. Over time, Tesla became both legend and lesson. To dreamers, he's a saint of science. To skeptics, a cautionary tale. Films portray him bathed in lightning. Musicians sample his words. But behind every myth was a fragile man, sleepless, obsessive, aching for understanding. His story warns us that brilliance without balance burns. Yet, it also reminds us that ideas outlive the bodies that bear them. Tesla was neither God nor ghost. He was proof that imagination is divine. The myth matters, but the man matters more, because in his humanity, we find our own. Tesla taught us that everything, from stars to thoughts, vibrates. Every mind emits its own frequency, shaping the world around it. When millions share the same intention, the planet itself resonates. He called this collective resonance. Today, our networks connect billions, a living field of consciousness. What once sounded spiritual now echoes in neuroscience and quantum theory. Each idea, each act of kindness sends a measurable wave through humanity's grid. Tesla's vision wasn't just about electricity, it was about empathy. To tune into one another is to power civilization. Connection, not current, is the ultimate invention. Tesla believed science without ethics was noise. To him, energy had morality. Waste was sin. Creation was prayer. The gift of power, he said, must be used for good. He saw invention as service, not domination. Every experiment was a dialogue with nature, not a conquest. When humanity learns to balance progress with purpose, Tesla's prophecy will be fulfilled. The physics of light will meet the spirit of compassion. In that union lies our evolution. The man who studied lightning was really studying life itself and found both equally sacred. Time moved on, but Tesla's voice never truly faded. His ideas ripple through every generation of innovators who dare to imagine differently. Each time you plug in a device, you complete his circuit. Every electric hum is his afterthought. The radio, the rotor, the neon glow, all carry his signature. He once said, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I really worked, is mine." That future is now. Tesla isn't buried in a grave. He's embedded in our grids, our gadgets, our galaxies. The world itself is his unfinished experiment. Nikola Tesla was more than inventor. He was interpreter, translating the universe into voltage. He proved that wonder and wisdom are not opposites, but currents of the same flow. His life teaches that solitude can illuminate, that imagination is a form of power. Every flash of lightning we witness carries his memory. Every pulse of energy repeats his dream. In the end, the story of Tesla isn't about machines, it's about meaning. It reminds us that the human spirit, like electricity, can light entire worlds. And when we finally understand that, we'll realize humanity itself is the universe discovering its own spark. Imagine the Earth seen from orbit. Glowing veins of light, cities alive with energy. Tesla foresaw this, a planet wrapped in luminous connection. He wanted every village, every home, to share that pulse freely. The coil was never the goal. It was the key. Through resonance, he glimpsed unity, humans and nature vibrating in balance. Today, our challenge is not to build new machines, but to tune our hearts to the same frequency. The next revolution won't come from wires or waves. It will come from awareness. Hidden within Tesla's notebooks lies a different message. Not a design for machines, but for mankind. "Be alone," he wrote. "That is the secret of invention." In solitude, he found clarity. In silence, revelation. We drown now in noise, chasing connection yet losing meaning. Perhaps Tesla's real invention was perspective, the art of listening deeply to the hum beneath life. Innovation begins where attention awakens. To hear the universe, we must first quiet our own static. Every era finds a Tesla, someone unafraid to defy logic, to imagine the impossible. Today's innovators channel his spirit, renewable pioneers, AI dreamers, explorers of Mars. Each carries a spark of his defiance, his beauty, his solitude. When humanity stands again at the edge of a new dawn, we'll hear the same whisper he once heard. There is more. Progress is not invention, it's continuation. The current never stops, it only changes hands. Thunder rolls over modern skylines, neon lights flicker in glass towers. The world he imagined still hums beneath our feet. Somewhere, lightning strikes, and a child looks up in awe. The same spark that birthed Tesla ignites again. Inspiration is cyclical, a current passing through generations. Every storm is a reminder. Energy never dies. It transforms, and so does genius. The thunder that welcomed him into the world now welcomes new dreamers. The storm always returns, carrying his name. We end where it began, in light. Tesla showed us that illumination is not just photons, but understanding. His story bridges science and soul, showing that to master energy is to honor existence. The greatest invention is not the motor, or the coil, or the current. It's consciousness itself. When we realize that every human mind is a miniature Tesla coil, generating ideas, transmitting dreams, we become what he foresaw, living circuits of creation. And in that moment, his legacy completes its loop. The current flows on. The universe listens. Because the story of Tesla is the story of us.